Well, good morning, everyone. Alejandro J. Tornato here, and I am with my business partner and dear friend and colleague, Juanita Cap, all the way from South Africa. And we wanted this today. We wanted to show up and to do this video because we are organizing a conference. Is the first Captor Connection conference coming up on November 11th, 12th, and 13th of this year. Is going to be 3 full packed days of great content, 6 outstanding topics, and 18 wonderful international top-notch speakers that are going to be presenting great topics on great presentations on those topics. And one of those topics is leadership. Now, I know that you all heard presentations and educational sessions on leadership, but leadership is such a vast subject that it doesn't matter. How many times and how many conferences you attended. There's so much more that we can still learn about this great topic of leaders and leadership. And so today, Jay and we want to discuss a little bit of why is leadership important? Because there is great importance in not just leadership or leaders, but in great, effective, thoughtful leadership and thoughtful leaders. So let me just pass it on to Jay to start us off, with this topic of why is leadership important, Jay?
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome, everyone. So good to see you again, Alejandro. I am Juanita Kap from South Africa. My business name is called Meticulous, and I facilitate community upliftment through leadership development via my podcast, Meticulous Moments. And I'm very proud to be a part of the Captor Connection, and I'm very excited about the upcoming Captor Connection conference. So, the topic today, one of the topics that will be discussed in the conference as well, is leadership. And I remember, Alejandro, having a previous conversation with you. And I remember saying that, to me, leadership is the very fabric of society.
Yeah.
And I also did a post the other day for Meticulous where I said, here at Meticulous, we realize that leadership makes the world go round. Now, why did I say that? Because leadership we either have great leaders and mentors and coaches who help us make good and wholesome decisions, or we lack good leaders and guidance that cause us to make less than desirable choices. And this really automatically results in bad outcomes very often. So everything we do and the outcomes we get is based on our decisions. And I've said previously, in some of my interviews and some of the lives I've done, that the choices we make really is the life that we live. And we always need external opinions because sometimes we don't see the full picture. So leadership is so much more than just a topic that we learn about, so much more than just a topic that we experience. Sometimes when we don't see these other aspects, we don't make the correct choices. So I actually thought this morning, I thought to myself, why do we think that highly successful people always have mentors? They always have life coaches, they have health nutritionists, they have personal trainers. Why is that? For the simple reason that these individuals that they contract or that they collaborate with have the expertise to help them make the right decisions, to mentor them what is the correct business decision to make, to give them life coaching, what are the correct personal choices to make, to look after their health and nutrition, what should their health regimen be about. So life is really about leadership, and the future even of our countries depend on the presence of good leaders. And I also thought to myself, everyone is a leader. You don't have to have a corporate position to be in a leadership role. You lead yourself, but you are also, even if you're a parent, you're a leader. And I remember doing two interviews. The one was with Dennis Leroux and Danica Trebell. And I remember them mentioning in those interviews, and it was both of those interviews were phenomenal, but I remember them mentioning that even as small children, they just had it in them to take the lead. They both explained how they would lead, their peers and how they would take charge. And even with their siblings, if you're a sibling, if you're an older sibling, what does that put you in the space of? It puts you in a space of having to lead, to take responsibility. So we all are born to lead and to grow. And another point is that leadership helps us grow. We never stop growing. It doesn't matter how many books we've read. It doesn't matter how many books we've written. There will always be something new that we discover every day and that we would want to transfer to the world during the course of the next day or in another setting or in another environment. It's an inherent desire for us to lead. And you owe it to yourself, and I owe it to myself, and we owe it to others to really step up into this life of leadership, this way of leadership thinking, honing our leadership skills, revisiting our choices, making active decisions to live a life of integrity. And then we get to conferences such as the Captor Conference. Now, the Captor Connection Conference gives 6 topics that are contemporary topics. And maybe we've been to 100 conferences before, and you ask, but why should I go to another conference? Because knowledge keeps developing, life keeps developing, and we have to stay upbeat with the developments, and we have to continue to learn and to grow. That's the point that we have to bring across today, is that leadership facilitates personal and professional growth. Over to you, Alejandro.
My goodness. I mean, now the question is this. I mean, how do I follow that? Everything that you said. I mean, I was just listening so actively because you dropped so many important gems into that. And that is what you basically describe is the importance of leadership and the fact that leadership is inherent in each one of us. Now, I know that there are some people that from even from their childhood, I mean, they demonstrate and they begin to display very visible for everybody else their qualities for leading, for leadership. They take that leadership role. I mean, there are others who don't. But leadership is, and I said it many times, leadership is not something that you're born with. I mean, even though some people they have that inclination to lead, but leadership is something that if you're really interested and you aspire to make a change in your organization, in your family, in your social environment, wherever you happen to be actively doing things, leadership is something that can be learned and can be improved all the time. And it's just that we have to have the right attitude to do it. As I was pondering about why is leadership important, then something came something came to mind, and it says that great leadership and great leaders are not about pleasing people, but they are all in about making or challenging people. So great leaders are not people pleasing people leaders, but they are they're leaders who are challenging others. And I truly believe that we are living in a world right now. It doesn't matter whether you are in South Africa, I am in the United States. And we don't need leaders who are people pleasing. We need leaders who take command of issues, who make a positive change, and who challenge people to do the right things. And I think that those are the leaders that we need. Men and women in leadership positions who don't do things in order to get accolades from people and to get, my goodness, he is the best since sliced bread. No, 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 no. Leaders are not about receiving praise, but great, effective, strong, determined leaders are leaders that even in the midst of a crisis, even in the midst of people not liking them or their decisions, they stay the course and they keep with those decisions because they know that even though other people don't agree with them, that is the right course of action to take, and they stayed there. And great leaders are also they take responsibility for their actions, whether they succeed or whether they failed. They take, and that's what help the rapport that they build with their followers. And so that is one aspect why leadership is really critical and important in our society right now.
And you mentioned something that I was just about, something just came up, and actually typed it down now while you were speaking so that I can remember what I thought, because sometimes we get busy. But you mentioned the word society. Now, the first thing I want to say is that leaders that people please don't have followers. People don't want to follow leaders that people please because nothing gets done. And a leader has to realize that you can't keep everybody happy all the time. It will never happen. It's never happened in the past, and it will never happen in the future. It will also not happen in the present. But leaders, we're nearing 9/11. And I realized that people are starting to think of what happened on that horrible day. And I had a very good interview, a phenomenal interview also with Marilyn Morales about what happened at 9/11. And there's a reason why I'm mentioning this. And I did a post earlier this week on my Facebook page where I said crisis breeds a move of God. Now, to bring all of those together to connect the dots here, I want to say that when we talk about society, and you mentioned society, leaders answer the call of help from society in order to create a better tomorrow. That is not a choice. That is something that we are accountable for. Because you find leaders that are young, like, for instance, people that we know, and myself as well, from a young age we lead. And then you find other individuals that in a crisis, they step up to the plate, they take that courage, and they lead. Because that is what is required of them in that situation. So I'm going to repeat what I typed here while you were speaking. I typed, leaders answer the call of help from society. We live in a broken world with broken people. We are nearing 9/11. We know what happened on that horrible day. There were leaders that answered the call of help from society in order to create a better tomorrow. That is our function. And sometimes people choose to be leaders, and sometimes a situation chooses a person to become a leader. Over to you, Alejandro.
Yes, I think that that is so important. That is so important. And I tell you, I mean, you mentioned 9/11, and that is a day that the whole world is going is been chiseled in our minds and in our hearts, because what happened in that day is something that it's completely is unforgettable. I mean, it just it had such
It's
a
a tragedy.
magnitude. Yes,
Yeah.
it's such a magnitude of evil that you won't be able. I mean, to forget about it. And what
Yeah.
happens is that during those times, very challenging times, very obscure times, very negative times, times of great crisis, that's when real leaders
Yeah.
shine the most.
Mm.
Not because they do things, hey, listen what I'm doing. No, 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 no. It's because
Mm.
under those circumstances,
Yes.
real leaders, they take action and they get to work and they start getting things done, whatever it is. That's what real leaders are. They get in the trenches and they don't care and mind getting themselves bloodied, sweaty,
Mm.
dirty. No, they do whatever it is that they need to do in order to bring us from chaos back into a place of safety. And that's what real leaders do. And I tell you one thing, I mean, is just, we just want to wrap this up, and I'm just going to end with this,
Yeah.
with John Maxwell, one of my mentors. I mean, says it, and this is a great, succinct definition of leadership and great leadership. And he says, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Now,
Yeah.
the fact that we need to be attentive to is that leaders can influence for bad or for good. You see,
Mm.
and that's the key. Are we as leaders, what is going to be our influence? Are we influencing people? Are we influencing our organizations and our groups for good things, or are we influencing for negative and negativity and bad outcomes? And that's
Mm.
the influence. But leadership is influence, and we all influence everybody else. Everyone who comes into contact with us, we are influencing that person. So we have to always keep in the front of our minds,
Yeah.
how is our influence?
Mm. Mm.
So let me just give you, I mean, you for Jay for the last words, and so we can wrap this session up.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you completely. I just want to leave the audience with the following. Sometimes we choose to be leaders, and sometimes the situation chooses us. Embrace it. And use your influence that you have as a leader, like Alejandro said now, to bring about a positive outcome. That's all I have today. Thank you, Alejandro.
Thank you so very much, Jay. And for those of you, I hope that we have been able, I mean, to add value to you, to your life, to your journey. And remember that leadership is one of the topics that is going to be discussed and expanded. And we have three excellent speakers and leaders in the topic of leadership. So the upcoming Capture Connection conference registration is open. So we're going to put the link below this video, so you can go and register. 3 days. Remember, personal growth is not optional. So register for the conference and let's keep learning and growing together. Take care, Jay. Thank
Have
you.
a great day, everyone. Bye bye.
Be well.